Hello everyone, welcome to Titan Academy, and this video will cover the SmartV in the Titan forms. Alright, so what we have here is a fresh form, nothing on it. Let's just publish this, and we can see that this URL is public to everyone. Anyone that will go on this URL will be able to view the form. What if you want to protect this form? And one of the ways you could do this is with a SmartV. SmartV lets you authenticate any object in Salesforce. Make sure that this is the person that's trying to log in. So let's say we want to add SmartV and we want to add authenticate a contact. The way that this is going to work is we're going to say first to the SmartV, please authenticate a contact, and your condition can be, let's say you only want contacts. Let's say if you had a record type here from a certain record type, or that the account ID of the contact equals a certain account ID, anything you can imagine here, multiple conditions you can run, no problem. And let's hit apply. All right, let's say we want the contact ID, since once it's authenticated, I want to know who this guy is, who this person is, and we want an email. Since in our instance we will use one-time password. You can use that without a one-time password and just match a few fields. Let's say if you have an ID on the contact and like a social security number and an email and a phone, if all together they match, then Titan will add that person in. And the third thing we want is something to save the SmartV password on. So in our instance we should have SmartVC. That's just a custom field on the contact object. So if I'll head over to my contact and I'll take a look at the SmartV, it's just a regular text field. I think I gave it 5 or 10 characters maximum. You don't need more than that. And what will happen is every time the user will try and log in, Form Titan will find that contact by that email, set the one-time password on the contact, and then we'll email it to the client, the person that's trying to log in, and if he types in the right one-time password, we will let him in. Okay, so let's set the value on the contact ID. This is the value that will be saved on the SmartV. So let's say if you want to run a get afterwards on the SmartV, you can say contact ID equals something in Salesforce equals to our SmartV, and that will hold the contact ID. Obviously you can change this around and hold whatever value you want. So we'll click the email for the email and secret for secret, and notice that we have a bunch of options here. Disable 2FA, that's the one-time password, validate without email, JWT session with Salesforce. Every single thing here has a question mark like anything in Titan. You just click it and it will take you to a quick explanation of what that function does. So that's a really great way to learn. Just feel free to explore. Alright, we'll hit apply. And now, if I'll refresh this form, I'm asked to log in. So let's for this guy, we will put an email and we'll say CDO plus 7707 at and I'll click the login and I'll head over to my email and I have a new email from Titan with the one-time password. Also, if I'll look at my contact, take a look at the details, I can see that SmartV password was set. So I'll hit continue and we're logged in. That's great. Now if I'll refresh this, you'll see that I'm asked to log in. But what if you want to have a session that once the user logged in, you can say, okay, he's going to be logged in for 20 minutes, for 60 minutes, for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days, etc. So we'll click on the SmartV, and And we can see that we have enabled session, and you can also share session if you have a different SmartV and it's all under the same umbrella, same users, same object, everything is the same. You want to authenticate the same people for the same login logic, you can use a SmartV from a different form. Really cool. Again, click the question marks, feel free to explore, and we'll say this is available for 20 minutes. So now, once I will log in again, and let's just grab the password from here this time, so that will be faster. And we'll log in. Now I'll refresh, and I'm still in, and when 20 minutes will pass, we'll be logged out. All right, let's see how we can use the SmartV to do more things. So let's say we want to say a label with the name of the contact that logged in, and obviously you can hello, and obviously you can play with it however you like. This is just an example. So we'll head back to the SmartV, and I'll go to Mapped Fields, and I can say here Map Field, and I can say on my form I want to go to the hello label, please map it to the contact full name. You can obviously make it a lot better than this, make it look nice, and say actually hello someone, and let's save this and refresh. That's great. So this is our contact name, last name, so we can say hello to last name, and whatever is from the actual object that you're getting from the SmartV, you can bring in onto the form. So let's do, for instance, we'll do an email, and we will call this the logged in user contact, and we can do the same. We'll head back to the SmartV, map fields, and we can map it directly to our email, and we can say email, map to our email, plan, finish, apply, save. Great. Now let's say we want to bring in the account or something that the contact is related to. That you can do very simply. Let's just get rid of these guys, delete. Let's bring in the account name, for instance. I'm just mapping one field to show you the possibilities here, just for you to understand the concept of this. So I'll add a get, and I'll say account and get account by the contact. And what we want to have here, we want to have our SmartV account ID, our Salesforce account ID equals to our SmartV account ID. So let's map add another hidden, and we'll head back to the SmartV, and I'll head back to the mapping, map fields. We want to grab the account ID directly from so we didn't name the hidden. I'll go back and name it. Right now it's named key, and I'll map it to the contact account ID, plan, finish, and apply. Let's rename this the CID from SmartV. That's great. Save it. Let's head back to our get, and we'll say get me the account, great, and it will auto trigger. So conditions account ID equals to my account ID from SmartV, apply. Let's map our fields, and let's map the text box to the account name. That's great. Apply and finish. Let's just rename this label to account name. Wonderful. Let's see if we have an account related here. We do not. So let's relate this to an account. Let's just say this one belongs to GenePoint. We'll save. Let's refresh our form. And our account name is GenePoint. As easy as that. Many times you would have a situation where, aside from the SmartV, you're also passing a parameter to the form. Let's say in our instance, we would want to bring in a case information. So let's bring in a few things from the case. So we'll do description. So text, and we'll say this is the description from the case. And we will say, let's say, what else do we have on the case? So let's grab a case from here. Let's say case number we'll bring, and the due date. So we'll do another text, do case number, and we'll do date, date time, we want a date, and we'll say due date. Wonderful. And you would typically have a submit here to save it and update, and you will bring in a lot more information, probably on a different object, that just trying to explain the concept. And we'll hit save, and let's head to our get. And what we will do is get a case. Get a case by URL param. And I'm not going to send my condition yet. So since we need to add, let's just do fake condition. And soon we will add a hidden, and we will fix this up. All right, so let's map our fields. We'll do description to description, and we have due date, and what else do we have here? The case number. Okay, so let's add a hidden for case ID, and we'll pass that in the URL parameters. So we'll do case ID, that's FLD87. Let's head back to our get. Let's fix up the condition. So we'll say case ID equals my case ID hidden. And our mappings, we have the case number to fill up. So case number, and apply and finish. And let's pass in FLD 87, I think it was, and we will grab the case ID and we'll pass it over here. So we're logged in. We did not get a description. First we map the description. Let's map the subject instead. So let's do subject, and can change it directly from here. We'll do subject, apply, save, refresh. Now, what's wrong with what happened here? So we authenticated the contact, everything is fine. And many times you think that SmartV is great, and it is amazing. But for additional security, sometimes you do want to think, when you're giving your SmartV users access to objects, you might want to think about doing an extra security check. For instance, in my case, this case belongs to someone else. It's assigned to a different contact. or you would have your own custom lookup to whoever is allowed to handle it, etc., etc. In this instance, I'll take a look at the contact. So the contact ID here is different than what we have. So what we want to do in this instance, I'm just giving you the idea of how you can use this, is in our get, we want to make sure that the case actually belongs to the logged in user. And we can do that very, very easily, since we know that the contact ID on the case has to match to our SmartV. And that could be any relationship with any objects, just showing you how to use the SmartV. And hit end and hit apply. And what will happen now is, if I'll refresh it, nothing will be mapped. And obviously you can show a message here, you're not allowed to view this, you're not allowed to view this case, blah blah blah. And now let's just go back there to the case, and I'll reassign it to my contact. So my contact is, let's remove this, last name of Gene Point. We'll save, we'll refresh, and now we'll get our case again. And you can match it with the account ID as well, anything you can think about. So whenever you're building something with the SmartV, think about if you want to have, aside from logging the user in securely, if you want to control which data he can see when you're passing URL parameters. And this is how it's done.